So my name's Lisa Gennaro, and we have been coming up to the Black Hills since I was 12. My husband and I have been married for 32 years. We moved up here about 10 years ago to help take care of my mom and dad when they get older. I have two daughters, 30 and 28. None of them live close, so we're always traveling. I've owned 3 businesses. Right now I have a home health agency, and let me see what else. I sat on the West River Sex Trafficking Task Force, human trafficking, because it's also labor. And then I'm with Concerned Women for America as a lobbyist during legislative session, and we help pass great bills that keep our freedoms and a lot of other things. So that's a little bit about me. And Tony, were you able to get that 90-second spot? No, it's the video. Oh, okay. We're going to watch a video first.
Hi, Zach. Here's another video from my special guy. I can't believe we haven't talked all day. I wish you went to my school or a little closer so we could finally meet.
Hey, kiddo. Dinner in an hour. Don't spend too long on the phone.
Okay, I know you've been waiting for this for a while, so I wanted to give you something special. Is this okay? Who are you? Why are you doing this?
It's happening a lot. I'll tell you a little story of a gal who was 16, 17-year-old in Sioux Falls. It was about 6 years ago. And this is when sextortion, this is what this is called, what is happening to a lot of our kids. It's called sextortion because they're blackmailing our kids. But about 6 years ago, we had a girl who was about 16 years old, and she thought she was talking to a guy her age and that lived a couple states away. So they were talking for about 3 months, and then about into it, he starts asking her, why don't you please take your shirt off and take a picture of yourself? And she's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And he's like, why? I don't get it. He says, we've been talking for 3 months. He goes, you know I love you. And it seems like not just kids, but adults, when somebody throws that I love you word out, it seems like all of our guards go down, especially young people. And so she's like, what's it going to hurt? One picture. So she went ahead and sent him a picture without her top on. And then next week, he was wanting more. And so she did a few things and sent him. And then the last time he wanted a full nude picture of her. And she said, nope, I'm not doing it. And he said, if you don't do this, I am going to take all the pictures I have and I am going to send them to your family, your friends, everybody. And her dad was some big mucky muck in Sioux Falls, and it shouldn't matter, but for her, she was devastated. So she went ahead and did it. And this went on for almost a year. And her parents kept asking her, what's going on? Because they knew something wasn't right. She was getting sick, because we know stress makes people sick. And her grades were falling. And finally, she told her dad about after a year what was going on. And so they got a hold of the police, and then they got a hold of the FBI, and they tracked the guy down, and he was 47 years old. And the same thing, he had several files of young people that he was blackmailing. And not only that, they take those photos and they sell them to pedophiles and anybody else that wants to look at young boys and young girls. So he did end up going to prison. But this is happening. And right now, what we are struggling with, even more so, is third world countries are really getting involved and sending stuff to our kids, pretending that they are, 16, 17-year-old kids. But what a lot of people don't realize, that these people have gotten so smart that a lot of times they don't need to ask. They can hack into your cell phone or your laptop, and they can videotape without you knowing it, and then call you and say, if you don't do this, this is going to happen. I was talking to a military guy, and he was even telling me that happened to him about 8 months ago. And this female got about $800 out of him. So, it's happening. And you, as parents and as young people, you just need to know that just because somebody wants to be a friend, which they aren't a friend, doesn't mean that you have to just say, okay. You really need to figure out if it's somebody you know. Human trafficking. So we're going to touch on a little bit of both. What does this mean? Silence, right? Don't talk. Don't say anything. I put that up there for a reason. Nobody wants to talk about sextortion and trafficking. They just don't, because it's a subject people are like, that's not happening. It is, and on a massive scale. Okay, so victims by age. Now this particular slide is a couple years old. So children is 33%, and we know that's gone up a little bit. The victims by race, they don't care about race. They don't care about race. This is slavery, modern day slavery. And race doesn't matter. They just want a body. Males, they're looking about 30%, and females about 70%. I'm telling you, that's about even now. About 3 years ago, we do stings during Sturgis every year. Okay, we get the FBI, other people come in. We have a couple of detectives who pretend like they're anywhere from the ages of 10 to 14. Because they really like 10 to 14-year-olds the best. So about 3 years ago, 60% were asking for young boys. So that's why I think it's more 50-50 anymore. It's just boys don't come out and say anything. The reason we know this is because of the sting operations and how they are asking and who they're asking for. Oh. The other school, I got to do it the other way. Why is this not going? I don't know. 32 billion in profit per year worldwide, and we know that number has gone up. 11 billion just here in the United States. Drugs is the #1 moneymaker. Trafficking is almost right up there, and I think in a couple years it's going to be #1. That's because, again, drugs is one time. They can sell a person anywhere from 5 to 40 times a day. We rescued a girl from the cartel, this would have been 4 years ago, and we put her in a safe house in Sioux Falls. But when we got her, she was 21, okay? She only had about 8 months to live. Because when you have to be forced to do tricks like that every day, your body can't sustain it. The only thing she wanted to do was ride the bus by herself. She didn't want anybody watching her. I mean, that was what her goal was the first day that we rescued her. And she did pass. She passed about 7 months after we rescued her from the cartel. But that's why it's on a rise, okay? Thank you, Tony. How do predators groom kids? Well, they select a victim, all right? And our kids and parents have made it pretty easy. So when we have people that, let's say it's somebody they want to grab instead of do the sextortion, all right? If they're coming through, let's say, peer, all they have to do is go online, look what kids are on Instagram, Facebook, whatever, in the peer area, and see which kind of kid they're looking for. Not only that, though, dating is so different, and I don't know if how many of you know how they're dating nowadays, but it's a lot of nude shots going back and forth. I was talking to some kids in Omaha, Nebraska, and I had a small group because I wanted to get down to figure out how they're dating right now, okay? And it's not isolated, it's happening here too. But this is a scenario, all right? So they're in school. Some guy sees a girl, they see each other, they text each other, they send nude shots of each other. Do you want to go out tonight? Sure. If they like what they see, sure. And then they usually have sex at night or within the week. And so even that, I tell the kids, you just doing that, first of all, it's disrespectful to each other. The other thing, it's illegal to be taking nude pictures and sending them to each other. But we're also making it easy for traffickers, okay? Because they can just get those pictures anywhere. And so I asked the young women, how does that make you feel? Well, the pressure is, they say, if we don't do it, we get ridiculed at school. But then if we're with more than 5 guys, then we're a slut. And the young men said, well, if we don't do it, if we don't pursue it, then we get ridiculed and teased, okay? So this is the kind of stuff going on right now with dating. Now, is it happening here like that? Yes, it is. Is it on the scale as some of these big cities? No, okay? But everything takes a little longer to get to the smaller schools. But it is happening. We know it is. So they select a victim that easy. The other thing is, if I've got young people in here or parents, how are you kids walking? How are they walking? If you're going from your car to the grocery store or to the mall, this is what everybody's doing. Okay? They're looking down. They don't know their surroundings, right? I tell young people, put your phones to your side just for a little bit. A predator is not going to bother with somebody who looks like they are aware. Even if you are the shyest person on the face of the earth, I want you to put the phone down. I want you to stand up straight. I want you to walk like you have purpose. And I want your head on a swivel so you know your surroundings. So they're not going to bother with people who look like they've got it going on and that they know their surroundings. The next thing is they gain access to and isolate the child or youth or whoever, all right? The goal is to groom them, make them go through a honeymoon period, maybe even get to know the family. Everybody likes him or her, okay? There's women that are just as good as boys and men, okay? And then once they do that, once they've won that trust, and usually it's 3 months, okay? They can get it down in 3 months. And I tell young people, if somebody new has come into town, and not that you're not, attractive, nothing like that, but have the red flags up a little bit. You have that gut instinct for a reason. God has always put a gut instinct in us for a reason, all right? And when people start buying things for you constantly, like new shoes, a makeover, all these games, wonder why. I used to tell my daughters when they were growing up, don't take anything from anybody. If you're dating a boy, there's no reason to be taking gifts from him. A few things here and there, fine. But when they start becoming, expensive items, somebody wants something in return, okay? So watch who they are seeing within that 3-month period and what kind of gifts or what's kind of going on. Then they desensitize the child to sexual content and physical touch. What kind of shows are we watching? What kind of shows are young people watching? In an hour time frame, on some of these shows our kids like to watch, and some of the anime, okay, they are just like they're doing in school right now. They get to know each other within that hour. 30 minutes into it, they're kissing and they're in love. And by the time the show's over, they've had sex and they're on a fairy tale to happily ever after. Okay, this is what our kids have been watching since they were little. And whether you don't allow it at home, their friends' parents might, or whatever they might be seeing in school, or on their phones. But the goal is to desensitize them to sexual content and physical touch. Platforms, okay? This is where we're going to touch a little bit on sextortion, because you think they can't get to any of you kids, they use the apps. And these are some of the apps we know that they are using. And these are just a few of them, okay? Grindr, Calculator Plus. Anybody hear of Calculator Plus? It's exactly what it is. It's a decoy. It looks like a calculator. So when your kids are on a calculator and they hit a certain thing, it can take them off to a browsing history, and it can take them right into porn or anything else. Okay, next slide. This is some more. TikTok, Snapchat. And the thing is, like I say, they start talking to young people on these apps, and about 3 months into it, then they start asking more personal things of our kids. Go ahead, Tony, next. Thank you. Video games, same thing, okay? Everybody's gaming. We're gaming with people we don't even know. And again, 3 months into it, you're my buddy, you're my friend. What's wrong with a nude shot, FBI put out pedophile signs, okay? The dark triangle, the little triangle, the blue one, that's for men who like young boys. The heart, as you can see up there, they like young girls. The butterfly is actually, you can't really see it here, but it's blue and pink. It means they like both. And I just want everybody to start thinking, how many, even I had a kid on the reservation say, I've seen some of those symbols on Disney stuff. Yep, you sure have. And you know that little pink sign that Victoria's Secret has, and we're seeing it all over these little girls' bottoms? You know who helped to design that and create that? Because at that time he was part of Victoria's Secret? Epstein. And there we go, right? Our little girls are running around with pink on their bottom. I won't shop Victoria's Secrets anymore. So just know, and I tell people, when you start talking to people online or on an app, if you see symbols, even in the background, that's a red flag for you young people, that you may not be wanting to talk to that particular person, even if they look like they're your age, because more than likely they are not. What type of person's trafficked? Obviously, kids at risk, homeless, kids who are emotionally or psychologically vulnerable, coming from dysfunctional homes, no positive male role models, right? The last few years, a lot of TV shows make parents out to be the stupidest people on the face of the earth, and male role models, they're just too aggressive. But I tell the boys in school, we need positive males. I'm not talking abusive, physically or emotionally abusive. What kind of a character do your young boys want to be? I'm a strong woman, and I love the fact that I am married to a strong man. I'm okay he opens my door. And because I'm okay with that, I'm even a stronger woman because I'm okay with that, having a strong man. We need strong male role models. And we need to encourage our young men to be that male role model that God intended. And young women, it's okay to want a stronger man. But they know that positive male role models are so important. How victims are trafficked? Well, they're given false promises. Some are sold by parents and relatives. We had a child that was sold for a pack of beer. Yeah. So it's a sad situation when we start seeing some of this stuff. And the perversion out there is just, would blow your mind. They're picked up at during national disasters like hurricanes. A lot of times we have a lot of kids who go missing during national disasters. They're marketed at sporting events like Sturgis. Here it's also hunting season. Okay, we have a big problem during hunting season. The Super Bowl, that's when a lot of kids are taken too. And then they're moved from market to market. Last year we had a girl that and her friends were on I-90 at a gas station. And they were just having fun at one of the truck stops. Here come some guys on their motorcycles. And they were visiting with them for a little while. And then one of them says to her, "You want to get on my bike and go for a spin?" And in her mind, she thought, no problem. We're just going to go for a spin right around here. They ended up taking her to Sturgis, and she was trafficked for 3 days at a campground until she escaped. Now, I guarantee you, if she wouldn't have escaped, she would have went market to market. What's the reaction of a victim? Obviously, shame, grief, hatred of men and women. We have some women out there that are just horrific. Fear, distrust, suicidal impulses, hopelessness, and obviously distrust in law enforcement. And what have we heard for the last couple of years? to hate your law enforcement. I'm telling you people, this is by design. This is all by design. And for me, I believe it's from the top down. Okay? If they can get people to not trust law enforcement, not believe them, nobody's going to ask for help. It's never a victim's fault because every one of them thinks it's their fault. I shouldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. And it's never a victim's fault. These young kids don't know any different. Okay? A lot of parents don't even know what's going on out there, and that, again, is by design. Go ahead, Tony. What's causing violence, dating violence, and trafficking? The number one's the porn industry. The porn industry. We know that young people are starting to watch it at 8 years old because it's right here on their phone. I think I was telling you, some of you, when I was talking to the bus driver in Pierre, he says, I can't get them off it. They're all on their phones watching porn and laughing. But what they don't understand is it changes a chemical in the brain. Okay? So when they go to actually have an actual relationship with somebody, when they want to, they can't without having that visual. Utah has made it a health crisis, and so has South Dakota. I think it was in 1997. So the porn industry is the biggest culprit because most people are not going to do what they see on porn with their loved one. And my husband was on the plane with the VP of PayPal, and he had asked him, what do you see coming for the future? And he said, I'm telling you, this is going to upset you, but the porn industry dictates what we do. And that's coming from the VP of PayPal. I mean, it's something that I know this year during legislative session, because I think it was Louisiana had passed a bill that you can block porn for kids, and you can make it harder for the porn industry for checking age. Right now, they don't really care. They don't enforce it. They don't ask to see a driver's license, anything like that. And Louisiana said since they have implemented that, they have seen it drop with the kids, the porn industry. They don't have access to it like they had. So I know that's something that we are going to be trying to work on this year. No mentors, okay? And I tell young people, if you don't have a mentor, a parent at home, and I'm hoping everybody has parents they feel they can talk to, then find a mentor. I have had a mentors my whole life. I didn't go to college. I wish I could, but we couldn't afford to send me to college when I was a kid. So I had mentors that taught me how to do finances, how to dress for success, how to talk to people. Find mentors. I still have a 92-year-old mentor. You're never too old to keep learning from people. So encourage young people to find mentors. Because even as a parent, I don't know everything either to even tell my kids on certain things. Social media. Social media is another one. Some of the stuff that our kids watch, some of these singers, the music and the words they say, oh my gosh, I just can't get over it. I mean, they're talking about their private parts, grabbing their private parts. I says, we have disgraced women more today than we have in our whole life, the last 10, 20 years. We're going backwards, and I don't get it. But we're going backwards. The B word was never said because it was so disrespectful. And now they all say it to each other. So mentors, things they listen to is affecting our kids, the violence, everything. And these traffickers know it. 1 in 3 high school students have or will be in an abusive relationship. So when people are hurting, traffickers are there. Go ahead to the next one. 41% are teens, 37% are boys who will be in a sexual or emotional abusive relationship. And that's when the predators come out. Go ahead, Tony. Have boundaries, young people. Tell your kids, if your grandparents, tell your kids, and I'm sure you do, but there's a lot of parents that don't know. Have boundaries. I used to tell my girls in high school, listen, I know you're growing into your body. Guys and girls are going to start having those feelings. When you start kissing, the hormones rage, and it's hard to stop. Know where your no is before you get into any relationship. Know where that no is. And if that guy or girl, because girls are very aggressive nowadays, if they don't like where your no is, then you don't need to be with them because they don't respect who you are. Same with the nude pictures. If you respect each other, you don't want that anybody else looking at the person you supposedly love. Just don't do it. The sexually transmitted diseases, there's 31 of them, and none of them are curable. So young people, when I tell them, I say, you're healthy, you're young. We don't need to be with everybody. CDC's #1 thing is abstinence. Yeah. Second, monogamy. So I know it sounds old-fashioned, but I always tell the young people, you can change. If you don't like what's going on, you can change. There's a lot of positive, smart young people out there, but have boundaries. These are some of the possible signs of trafficking. Obviously, bruising, scars. Their stories are inconsistent. They're not allowed to speak to people. The best way we're able to reach out to people who are being trafficked is, believe it or not, when they go to Planned Parenthood, because that's where they take them to get their birth control, this kind of stuff. And so we have little things in there that they're supposed to read. If people are being trafficked, they can tell them then. The other thing is during Sturgis, and I will hand some of this stuff out to you later, but we have volunteers, well, throughout the whole state, but on this end of the state, we stick them in the bathrooms. And phone numbers, toll-free numbers that they can call if they're being trafficked or they think somebody else is being trafficked. So we've been out there doing that, and we'll do it now until Sturgis. Go ahead, Tony. Go to the next one. How to help screen some questions for screening, because people aren't quite sure what to ask. Go ahead. Where are you sleeping or eating? Do you have a bed? Do you have bars on your windows? Are you being watched all the time? Do you have to have permission to even step out the door? So go ahead to the next one. What are your working and living conditions like? Again, are you free to come and go? Are you allowed to talk to people outside your home or job? No, none of them are. And they switch cell phones all the time, so they don't have the same phone. Has anyone ever physically harmed you in any way? Threatened you if you leave, threatened your family. That's a big one, threatening their family or threatening them. I didn't put a slide up, but I wish I would have. It shows you some of the tattoos that they put on their victims. Obviously the barcode, you've seen that, or you might know of that, the barcode. A Queen's crown is another one. A dollar sign. ATM on the middle of on their thigh. These are some of the branding and the tattoos that lets other traffickers know that they're being trafficked and that's theirs. If you see something, say something, right? And this is some of the stuff on some of the brochures I'm going to give you guys. Is anyone threatening you or hurting you? Can you leave if you want to? What would help look like? Obviously, if you're being trafficked or you see something, 911. But that toll-free number, that 888-352-8511, that is just for South Dakota. And that took us a while to get. Because we have the national hotline number, but every time we called it just to check, either nobody answered or they had a hard time reaching out to anybody here to help. So we thought, this isn't going to work. We need something for people here that can call locally in our state. So we did get this toll-free number, and we're going to be working on like a 211 to where people can hit 211 right now. That's a sexual abuse. And we're going to try and implement it with something with trafficking. So when somebody calls, they're trained to get the help that the people need. We have some wonderful safe houses, not for children. We're trying to work on that now, but these are just some of the things I wanted you guys to see and know, especially like the sextortion, because this is really big with our young people on their phones and with the computers. There's little things you can buy that you can put on your cameras, and when you're not using them, you close them, and when you're using them, you can open them. That just makes it where nobody can videotape you when you don't know it. Do you have questions? All right, well, I'm going to close it in prayer, and then if anybody wants to talk to me afterwards, you can. Dear Heavenly Father, Lord, thank you so much for your wisdom. And Lord, I just pray that you will give us all your wisdom. And Lord, help us to see things through your eyes and not our own. And help us to have the love that you've shown us shine through. Please be with our kids. Help us to show them that you're the way. And Lord, I just pray that you'll be with everybody as they go out for the rest of the weekend and next week. And thank you again for your love. In Jesus' name, amen.